Oh, yeah, so today we're diving into the world of food, but like the sciencey side of it.
Yeah.
Like how do they make sure our snacks are actually safe to eat?
Exactly.
We're talking about food analysts. We're using RoleCatcher as our main source today. They're all about career growth, and they've got this really, really in-depth guide on becoming a food analyst. So if that's something you're even remotely considering, this is going to be the episode for you. We're going to cover it all. The good, the bad, the maybe even a few surprises along the way.
Yeah, it's a fascinating field, really, because it's got that that really meticulous lab work, but it has this huge real-world impact. You're working with something that people interact with every single day.
Yeah, it's like being a food detective. Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of, a RoleCatcher mentioned that this field is like booming right now. Like they're predicting a 7% increase in food analyst jobs over the next decade. I mean, I always thought food safety was important, but a 7% jump,
Yeah.
that's got to be about more than just like making sure my milk isn't expired, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you've got so many factors contributing to that growth. Advancements in food technology. You've got growing consumer awareness about what's actually in their food. And then, of course, regulations. They're always getting stricter. So
Yeah.
all of that fuels the demand for, people who really know what they're doing, people who can, keep up and even stay ahead of the curve.
So it's not just about checking the expiration dates,
Yeah.
clearly. But what does a food analyst actually do on a daily basis? Like, give us the rundown.
Okay, so imagine this. A new energy bar hits the market, right? And it's claiming to be this, ultimate protein powerhouse.
Okay.
The food analyst is the one who puts those claims to the test. They're analyzing, the chemical composition, making sure it actually matches what's on the label, and that there are no unexpected surprises.
Unexpected surprises.
Oh.
Okay, now you're making me a little nervous about my snack choices.
Well, think of it this way. Remember those contamination scares you hear about in the news sometimes?
Yeah.
Food analysts are on the front lines of that. They're using, very sophisticated techniques like high-performance liquid chromatography, HPLC for short.
Okay.
Basically, it's a way to separate and identify the individual components of a substance. So, is there a pesticide in your spinach? They can figure that out.
Okay. So that's impressive and a little intimidating.
Yeah.
So you're telling me these guys are using high-tech equipment to protect us from bad spinach. What else are they doing?
Well, it's not just about contamination. They're also using a technique called gas chromatography mass spectrometry, or GCMS. It's a mouthful, I know.
Yeah.
But basically, it helps identify substances that are unknown. So, if a new preservative is introduced, they can figure out what it's made of and assess if it's even safe.
Okay. So they're like the guardians of our food system, basically.
Yeah.
Using science to keep everything in check. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Every job has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
Right. What does RoleCatcher say about the upsides and downsides of being a food analyst?
Well, on the plus side, you're working in a field that directly impacts people's lives every day. You're making sure that what they consume is safe, it's nutritious, it meets quality standards. That's pretty rewarding. Plus, you're constantly learning. You're applying scientific knowledge in a really practical setting.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Okay, but what about the downsides, like long hours in a lab, endless paperwork? Spill the tea.
Well, you're not wrong. The lab work can be demanding, and you need to have meticulous attention to detail.
Right.
And yes, there's paperwork. Maintaining accurate records is crucial in this field. But honestly, I'd say the biggest challenge is probably the pressure.
Yeah.
You're dealing with public health, so.
High stakes.
Your analyses, your findings, they have real-world consequences.
Yeah, for sure. So for someone listening who's thinking, this sounds like my calling, what does the path to becoming a food analyst actually look like? What are the must-haves?
So the strong foundation in science is essential. We're talking a bachelor's degree in food science, chemistry, microbiology, something in that realm.
Okay, so all those high school chemistry classes weren't a waste of time after all.
Exactly. And it's not just about, memorizing the periodic table. You need critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, because you're dealing with, complex systems, and you're encountering new challenges all the time.
Yeah, like that spinach situation you mentioned earlier.
Exactly.
No textbook can fully prepare you for that. Right?
Yeah.
What else is important?
This might surprise you, but communication skills are critical.
Okay.
Because you're often explaining your findings to people who don't speak science.
Right.
Think back to that energy bar example.
Right.
Imagine having to explain to, a marketing team why their protein claims don't quite add up. Or to consumers why a certain ingredient that sounds very chemical is actually perfectly safe.
Right, right. So it's about translating complex info into like plain English,
Exactly.
making it relatable and understandable. That's a valuable skill in any field.
Oh, absolutely. And if you really want to level up your career, RoleCatcher really emphasizes certifications like HACCP, that stands for Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points, if you want to know.
Okay.
It's a globally recognized food safety system. It shows employers that, like, you're serious.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got your degree, maybe a certification or two, you're feeling good. Now what? What does the actual career progression look like from there?
So think of it as like a journey through different stages. Each stage has its own responsibilities, its own opportunities. So you might start as an entry-level food analyst,
Mm.
really focusing on the fundamentals, and then you might move to a junior food analyst role where you're taking on more responsibilities.
And then eventually you could become like a senior food analyst, right?
Right.
Leading a team, like shaping the direction of a whole lab. It's like climbing the delicious ladder of food science.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And each stage allows you to, deepen your knowledge, refine your skills, and make, greater and greater contributions to the field.
Okay, you've painted a good picture of the trajectory, but I'm curious, like day to day, what are some specific tasks a food analyst might be doing? It's not all spinach and energy bars, right?
Oh, definitely not. So RoleCatcher actually breaks down some core skills and knowledge areas that they see popping up in a lot of these job descriptions.
Okay.
And unsurprisingly, production and processing, that's a big one.
Makes sense. You got to understand like the whole journey of a food product, like from raw ingredients to what ends up on, supermarket shelves.
Exactly. You're looking at like, sourcing raw materials, you're looking at the manufacturing process, the quality checks at each stage,
Wow.
even the cost and how those goods are transported. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's way more than just the science then. You got to be like a bit of a supply chain guru too.
A little bit, yeah.
What else did RoleCatcher highlight?
Well, chemistry, obviously, that plays a central role.
Of course.
But we're not just talking like basic, textbook chemistry. We're talking like chemical composition, how substances react with each other, how properties change during processing.
Yeah.
It's next level stuff.
Okay, so all those late night study sessions with the periodic table actually pay off.
They do.
Who knew? But seriously, how does all that theoretical knowledge translate into like real world action?
So it's all about applying those principles, right, in the lab. So food analysts are using their chemistry expertise to conduct, really precise analyses. They're interpreting that complex data from those tests.
Right.
And then they're making, informed decisions based on what they find.
So it's like you're a detective, but instead of fingerprints, you're analyzing like molecular structures and stuff. What other skills surprised you as being like crucial for this field?
Customer and personal service, that might seem a little out of place, but it's actually really essential.
Really?
Yeah, because remember, you're often communicating these like complex scientific findings to people who aren't scientists.
Right.
So, think back to that energy bar. Imagine explaining to a food manufacturer why their latest batch of, I don't know, yogurt didn't meet quality standards.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're helping a consumer understand, like, the science behind food labels, right? Decoding all those ingredients that sound like a foreign language.
Right, right.
Takes patience, takes clarity.
Yeah.
Being able to break down those complex ideas into, digestible bites.
No pun intended. So it's not just about being like a science whiz. You got to be a people person too.
You do.
Were there any other skills that kind of surprised you?
Well, RoleCatcher also emphasized administrative skills,
Okay.
which might not sound very glamorous, but it's crucial, believe me. We're talking managing data, maintaining records, making sure the lab runs smoothly.
Right.
It's kind of the backbone of the operation.
Okay, so organization is key. No, like, scribbling notes on napkins for these folks.
Exactly.
But seriously, it sounds like a good food analyst really needs that perfect blend of like hard and soft skills. You need the scientific foundation, but you also need to be like a strong communicator.
Yes.
A master problem solver, probably even a bit of a diplomat at times.
You got it. And that's, what makes this career path so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's a really dynamic blend of, scientific rigor and real-world application.
Right.
You're not just stuck in a lab all day.
Yeah.
You're really using those skills to make a tangible impact on the food that we eat.
Now, RoleCatcher also gives like a treasure trove of resources for aspiring food analysts, including some really insightful like sample interview questions. I think it'd be helpful to walk through a few just to give our listeners a taste of what to expect. Ready to put on your interview hats?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm always up for a good interview challenge.
Okay, so first up, can you explain your understanding of food safety regulations? That's a big one, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can't really wing it on something as crucial as food safety.
Absolutely not. And this is where, your knowledge of those key regulations like HACCP and ISO 22000, that's where that comes into play.
Yeah.
But it's not enough to just rattle off the definitions. You really need to demonstrate a deep understanding of how these regulations actually apply in real world situations.
Yeah, show, don't tell. Give me an example. What kind of concrete experience would really impress a hiring manager?
Okay, so imagine you implemented a new traceability system, right, to track ingredients from their source all the way to the final product.
Okay.
Or maybe you developed a training program for your team on the latest food safety protocols. Those are the kind of tangible examples that really demonstrate, your commitment to those standards.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, next question. Can you tell me about a time you had to troubleshoot a food quality issue? That sounds like the classic behavioral interview question.
Yeah.
They want to see your problem-solving skills in action.
Exactly. And this is your chance to really shine. So think back to your work experience, your academic experience. Choose a specific example where you faced a real challenge.
Yeah.
Did a batch of products fail to meet specifications? Was there a discrepancy in, test results?
Right. And then walk us through it. How did you approach the problem? What steps did you take to find, the root cause?
Exactly. And don't be afraid to, talk about what you learned, even if it didn't go perfectly.
Right.
Did you have to think outside the box? Did you have to collaborate with others?
Yeah.
Hiring managers, they appreciate that. They like to see that you're open about, your learning process.
Yeah. It shows, humility and a commitment to, always getting better, always improving.
Yeah.
All right, last question. How do you keep up with the latest developments in the food industry? It's a fast-paced field, so staying updated is, essential.
It is. This is where your genuine passion for the industry can really shine. So talk about, the professional journals you read, any conferences you've attended,
Yeah.
online forums or communities that you're part of.
Maybe you took, a recent course on a new analytical technique, or you volunteered at, a food science conference or something?
Exactly.
Right.
It's about showing that you're, actively engaged. You're not just relying on what you learned, however many years ago in school.
Right.
And honestly, don't underestimate networking.
Yep.
Building relationships with other people in the field.
Right.
That's invaluable. It's great for staying informed, and it's also great for just opening doors to new opportunities.
Yeah, it's like having your finger on the pulse of, the food science world. And speaking of resources, let's give RoleCatcher another shout out.
Yes.
Their platform offers way more than just sample interview questions, right? They've got tips on crafting your resume. They've got AI-powered feedback on your practice sessions. They've really thought of everything.
It's like having a personal career coach, available 24/7.
Yeah.
Their dedication to helping job seekers is really remarkable.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about the skills, the interview process. Let's dive into the different paths you can actually take within this whole world of food analysis. Because it's not one size fits all, right?
Oh, absolutely not. And that's where things get exciting.
Yeah, there's room to specialize, to find your niche, become the go-to expert in, a specific area. What are some of those specialized paths?
So while RoleCatcher doesn't have, a specific breakdown of specializations within food analysis in this particular guide,
Sure.
we can definitely, use our knowledge of the field to extrapolate a bit.
Yeah. Put on your thinking caps, everyone.
Exactly. So for starters, you could specialize in a specific type of food product.
Okay.
So, dairy, meat, produce, even chocolate.
Oh, imagine being the chocolate whisperer of the food science world.
Right. You'd be the envy of everyone.
Oh, my God.
Or you could really dive deep into microbiology.
Okay.
Become an expert in, identifying and controlling microorganisms in food.
Talk about a vital role.
Yeah, foodborne illnesses are not a joke.
No.
Or you could focus on toxicology,
Okay.
analyzing food for potential toxins, contaminants.
Ensuring what we eat is safe at the molecular level.
That's
That's a superpower.
And then let's not forget sensory analysis.
Ooh, okay, yes.
This is where Like, the subjective kind of meets the scientific.
This is where I come in. Sign me up for the taste testing.
Right.
I'm there.
Everyone wants that job. But no, seriously, sensory analysts, they play a crucial role in evaluating the taste, the aroma, the texture,
Right.
the appearance of food products.
It's like they're like food critics, but with like lab coats and clipboards.
Exactly. I love it.
I love it.
And then if you're feeling really adventurous, you could even dive into research and development, help create the next generation of like delicious and safe foods.
Okay, now you're talking my language. Combining your passion for food with your scientific skills to create something totally new and innovative.
Yeah.
That's the dream. It's like you could be like whipping up groundbreaking plant-based burgers one day, then making sure our like beloved chocolate chip cookies are safe to eat the next.
Exactly. And that's really what makes this field so incredible. It's all about, finding that sweet spot between your scientific curiosity and your passion for food. And with, this growing global demand for food security, the expertise of food analysts is only going to become more and more important.
Oh, absolutely. It's a career with like a real purpose.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to be a part of like shaping the future of food?
Right.
But okay, let's not forget about RoleCatcher.
Yeah.
Their insights have been so helpful for us, like throughout this whole deep dive.
They really have. Their platform is like a gold mine for anyone who's serious about this career path.
Yeah.
Or even just like curious about it. I definitely recommend checking them out.
Absolutely. They've got you covered like every step of the way, from understanding the skills to like, acing those interviews.
Right.
And for our listeners who are like really intrigued by food science, but maybe see themselves in like a slightly different role.
Oh, yeah.
RoleCatcher has insights on related careers too, right?
They do. They do. We're talking like food technologists, food biotechnologists,
Okay.
even industrial cooks.
There you go. A little something for everyone.
Exactly.
It's all about like connecting the dots between your interests and like what's out there, all the different opportunities in the food industry.
Absolutely. Because who knows, maybe this deep dive sparked an interest you'd never even considered before.
That's the beauty of, knowledge, right? It like opens up your mind to possibilities you never even knew existed.
Yeah.
So to our listeners, if you're feeling inspired, don't wait. Go out there, explore, and see where your passion takes you.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one like revolutionizing the way we eat in the future.
Absolutely.
Okay, folks, this has been a delicious deep dive. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to the deep dive for more fascinating explorations of, well, everything, really. From the art of podcasting to, like, I don't know, the science of happiness. We'll be back soon with more. Until then, stay curious.